Ready when you are. Good.
Ready. Let's do it.
Cool. So, Rachel, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we met briefly at the Summit of Greatness, the Lewis Howes event, and met you through Ryan Blair, I believe, when we were at the after party part, and got to know your story a little bit more. And it's actually really inspiring, and that's why we wanted to have you on the show. And I guess where we can start, and people who kind of know your story know that you're an actress, and they might not know kind of what you're working on with your brand, BeDisruptive, and where we're going with that. But what I wanted to go or start with is, how did you kind of get your start? What made you want to be an actress, and where did you go from there?
Okay, so this is one of my favorite stories that I love to tell, and what I talk a lot about when I go and I do speaking events, is that I actually started up, I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was a very stressed out, insecure little girl. And I was, like I said, super competitive gymnast, and it was like every day, all day long. And that was like who I was, that was like my identity. And I realized, because something that I saw, I saw a story of somebody. I watched Carrie Strug, for those of you who remember Carrie Strug and her amazing story. I was just like, I'm good to be that, and I worked so hard every day, but I really wasn't happy. And I really felt like I learned the power of my thoughts in a negative way. And the power that we have to physically make ourselves sick, and not just like, Mom, I don't want to go to school, I don't feel good. Like, literally, like, if you're not happy, you if you put your body through these emotions, and all these real chemicals go through your body from stress and from anxiety that that literally ultimately make people actually ill and physically, can even die from. So, I kind of learned that. And then when I finally got the courage to tell my mom that I couldn't do it anymore, and myself, I was about 13, and it was just incredibly challenging, because that was like my life. That was my mom's life. She was my best friend. I felt like I was letting her down, and my team down, and all my friends, so, but I mean, I was, just to give you an example, like, I was probably throwing up like once a week, because I was so nervous all the time. Like, just not like a body image thing, obviously a lot of gymnast dancers go through that. I never really went through that. What mine was more like, I put so much pressure on myself, and I was so scared of getting hurt or getting yelled at that, it was like, and my mom would be there with me and just knew that's what I did. And she's like, all right, you got to be tough and get through it. And which obviously taught me a lot of how to just keep going, and to not have excuses and stuff like that. But also, take a big look at like how this wasn't for me, anymore. And when I finally did, it was really rough. And, my mom and I relationship was kind of, it was hard for a while.
Sure.
I sat in my room crying for a good couple weeks, for sure. And then, I saw a movie that changed my life, and it was the first dance film I had ever seen. And that movie was called Center Stage. And I just remember this moment in the theater when I was just like, like, that is what I'm going to do with my life. And I felt so incredibly inspired by the girls that I saw dancing, and the story of her like overcoming extreme challenge, and people telling her she, couldn't do it. And she did. And I just got like goosebumps and chills, and like, I just will never forget that moment. And every time it just makes me want to cry, because I can literally go back to that moment when I was like 13 in this movie theater that I never wanted to leave, because I went from feeling super lost and scared and like had no purpose or mission anymore, and then to all of a sudden like having that again. And I remember my family was like kind of looking for me and wondering where I was, and because I didn't leave, I was all alone in the theater, just like already visualizing and seeing myself do that. And I went out of the theater, and I was like, Mom, like, get me in dance classes, get me in acting classes, like, that's what I'm going to do. And a pretty long story short, because I know we have a lot to talk about, I did it. And literally, I went out to LA when I was 18, after I didn't get into the dream college that I thought for sure I would get into, and so did everybody else. And I auditioned last minute for the scholarship program, did that for a year. I couldn't audition, I couldn't have an agent the whole time. And as soon as I got done, I saw this sign on the wall that said, auditions for the lead girl in Center Stage 2, which was like, that was the movie. Center Stage was the movie that changed my life, and Center Stage 2 was this opportunity that I would be able to audition for. And like, mind you, that whole year that I had been in LA, I couldn't even have an agent. I couldn't audition. I had never even seen a call for an audition ever.
Wow.
I remember that. So it was a month after I finished that program when I actually could audition. I had actually gotten turned down by several different acting agents, so I felt pretty discouraged. I almost didn't go to that audition because I was justifying all the reasons why, you know, I wasn't good enough or talented enough or pretty enough or ready, you know. And thank goodness I, you know, followed that intense feeling that I had that was just like, you have to go. And I went in 6 different times for that role. And it was like probably like 2-3 months process of just this crazy roller coaster ride of like your childhood dream being so close but so far, you know. And it wasn't like that experience that I had when I was 13 in that movie Center Stage wasn't just like, oh, that was my favorite movie. It was like literally something I watched all the time. Like I had pictures of when I got, you know, like depressed or whatever. I would just watch it to remind me. And through that experience just got, you know, obviously it was just one of the most magical, surreal, like amazing experiences for me, and is what has given me such extreme passion to share, especially with younger kids and really just people, that we do have the power to make really big goals and dreams come true. And I mean, I had so many people and things happen to me along that journey that were like, I thought the most challenging, worst things ever. Like, you know, breaking my hand, having surgery, my mom, my best friend not being too happy with me, not getting into the dream college that I wanted to, that, you know, everybody thought for sure, because I had really good grades, like, I mean, everything to get in and didn't, you know, not getting turned down by a bunch of acting agents, like right before, I mean, all those things, and learning how a lot of times, like, the things that we think are the worst things that could ever happen to us actually end up being the very best. And it's just all about being open and you know, learning from those lessons.
How do you cope with that stuff when you fail over and over and over again, and you still have this goal, you still have this dream? What do you do, and what helps you get through that?
I love that so much, and honestly, that's a lot of what even started Disruptive for me, was because, I mean, as an actress especially, I mean, you're constantly, I guess, up against what they call rejection. I don't like to see it that way.
Right.
And I even say that actually in one of the lines in Center Stage. My character says, like, you know, something about like rejection after rejection after rejection. And I mean, yeah, I would hope that people go watch that. There's a clip in me, this whole speech that my character gives, but it's so true as to like what it is like as an actor performer, but really even I think entrepreneurs, you know, anybody in life. And we're all up against, you know, we have a lot of opportunities for people to tell us no, like, you suck, you're awful, like, there's no way you're going to do that. And it's like, what is it in you that is going to say, no, like, I do deserve this, and I can do this, and I will do this, and watch me do it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things that has helped me is disrupting my thought patterns and gamifying life as much as possible and making it fun for myself to overcome challenges, you know, and anytime, and reframing everything, you know, it's just like, it's all up here for me. Obviously, I believe so much in inner strength just as much as outer strength. And I think a lot of people look at me and they're like, oh, like, are you fitness? Are you an actor? Are you motivation? And I'm like, guys, it's like all together here. Like, being an actress is like a master of self, you know, and anything is, you know, again, that's my goal. Is I just want to grow. I want to learn. I want to do better. I want to help. I want to share. I don't know everything at all. I am learning, and I just want to share what I learned along the way to help anybody, so they don't have to go through maybe something that I went through, and that when you're in those states, like you had asked, like, what do you do when you know, if you have that fear of getting told no over and over and over again? Is disrupting thought patterns. It's reframing it. Like, what kind of question could you ask to get yourself to actually go do that thing? And like the power of questions. And, you know, there's been many times when I got so close to massive roles that would have been like life-changing roles. And I didn't get them. You know, it was down to me and one other girl, and it didn't happen. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. There was like some a lot of tears, you know, because I put so much into every, you know, audition or role I go after. And when you don't get it, it's freaking hard. And, you know, I think that's when you have to come from this place of like self-love and care and being able to be human and say like, let me take this 10 minutes or this night or this day, however long you need to be like, I'm just going to be mad. I'm going to be frustrated, but I'm going to decide like when I wake up the next day, like that I just learned that lesson. You know, I'm open to whatever lesson I wanted to do. And I think it's having that, my core value of like, I just want to grow. You know, It's not about necessarily booking the job. It's not about being the best, because when I lived in that state and I did, that's when I was physically sick all the time and depressed and unhappy. And the times when I'm the most happy and successful and fulfilled is when I'm living from a place of, you know, I really don't care what happens. All I care about is that I grow and that I learn and that I love.
That's incredible, and it's obviously something that has kind of pushed you through, and now you've been in a number of movies, you know, after Center Stage, and you're doing great things right now. But you know, during the intro, I talked about a brand called BeDisruptive, and it's something that you're starting. So I want to get into first, what is BeDisruptive, and also why is it a true passion of yours to help other people overcome?
So yeah, I mean, it started, you know, right now it's a movement, you know, the BeDisruptive movement, and an apparel line. So it's disruptiveapparel.com, and it really, you know, all started because I was so sick and tired of that feeling that I found myself having, and so many other people having, of the, you know, not living the way that they really wanted to live and not doing the things they really want to do, you know, and why is it that we, you know, if you have this feeling like I want to go talk to that person, but then you don't do it, or I really want to go after that job, but then you don't do it, you know, and I mean, all these things, like, why do we do that to ourselves? That, you know, what is that resistance that we have that like, you know, you can do it, but then there's something inside of you that's like, I'll do it later, and you never do it. And I think it's such a common thing that we hold ourselves back so much. And I just, like, if I could say I hate anything, it's that, you know, is as people holding themselves back and myself holding myself back, because I just believe we are all so powerful and so capable of doing amazing things. And you know, and just being able to share with people that, you know, maybe what helped me the most out of one of the most ridiculously hard times in my life was asking a better question, was disrupting my thought patterns, because I got so stuck in this, like, why is this happening to me? Like, this is too hard. I can't figure this out. And it's just like this victim mindset that we get ourselves into. It's just this like downward spiral of awfulness. And, you know, what it makes the biggest impact is like saying, okay, this sucks and this is super hard, but what can I do to make it better? Or what can I do to have more peace in this moment, or feel more loved? Or who could I ask that might be able to help me or give me advice? And, you know, just in that instant, it's a completely different energy. Your mind's already, like, even when I was asking it, my mind's thinking like, wait, what could I do? You know? Yeah. And so I think there's just, you know, and people talked about the power questions for forever, you know, but I just think the more we can have something that is, you know, apparel, especially, that's a physical reminder of that power that you have inside of you to disrupt your thought patterns and to create and to ask better questions that are going to create better habits that are going to lead to a way better life. You know, it's powerful.
Oh. So how do you know when to be disruptive? And you're and this could be for anybody. I mean, if there's 13-year-old kids listen to this, you know, I hope they realize you were disruptive at age 13 when you had to have that really tough conversation with your mom. You knew it wasn't for you. You probably didn't want to do it.
No.
But you did it anyway, right? And then you have someone who is maybe making an excuse, like, that I want to be disruptive, but I'm not going to because of this, or I'm not going to because of that. And then you might have that time when maybe it's not the right time to be disruptive because there's another opportunity coming down the rope. So what are some suggestions you have for people to identify that and then take action on it?
Oh, I love that so much. And I think, like, the big root of that is, like, you know, comes down to what I think it all comes back to is, like, that awareness and, like, self-love. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think always having that aim to be a master of self. And in that moment when, I did finally tell my mom, it was really hard, like really, really hard. But there was just something in me that like, I couldn't take it anymore. And there's been a lot of times, I think for sure the time to absolutely be disruptive is when you are like sick and tired of being sick and tired. And, like, I think at that point it's like, no more will I ever let myself do that again. Like, and that's what I think creates real lasting change is that, and hopefully we don't all have to get to that place where we're like, beyond, hitting that, and even like Brian Blair talks about, hitting rock bottom. I don't necessarily think we all have to hit a rock bottom to make, real lasting change, but I do think it is what creates extreme passion and ability to impact. And I think that, I think it's taking a second, and this is something I've been working on myself, is to, instead of making like split decisions, is to take a second, maybe take a deep breath, maybe meditate for a second, and find different ways that work for you. I believe in a lot of different types of meditation. For me, like dance is a form of meditation, yoga is a form of meditation, or even just like jumping up around, like doing something to change your state so that you can get your mind to think clearer, to make a better decision. And that's why I'm such a big believer in like whole life fitness, because the second you start moving around, you're automatically sending more blood to your brain, so you're automatically going to make better decisions. And so especially for like little kids out there, people might see the BeDisruptive message and they're like, wait, what are you trying to tell kids to do? Like, can we like calm down? Like, I don't want my kids being crazy. And I do a lot of, maybe people think like crazy things, but it's really about that, like, how can I cause positive disruption, and how can I make a positive change with this in a fun, creative way.
Sure.
And that's what I really am inspired by, is making personal development and that inner strength as cool and as fun as possible, so that kids especially want to do it.
Nice. Yeah, and you talked about self-love earlier, and having that self-love to understand where you want to go in life. And for some odd reason, in almost every single one of our episodes, the topic of self-love comes up. Because it's super important. And I just kind of want to know, and I think everybody has a different definition of it, but what's your definition of self-love, and how does one achieve that?
That is like, I love that question. So I think my definition of self-love would to be able to actually, well, I think there's some like actual, like, not symbolic, but actual real examples that you can test it. When I did get in a really hard place, I was working with a life coach, and one of the things that she had to do was to look in the mirror every day and be able to say, I love you and I'm so proud of you, like over and over and over again. And let me just tell you that it was like, I couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't do it. Or if I did, I just felt like I knew I was lying to myself. Yeah. Like I couldn't feel that. And that's when I knew. I was like, okay, I do not have self-love. And I had realized too, I was always so hard on myself growing up, and it's exactly why, I was probably sick all the time, is because I didn't have that. It was always like, I grew up in a very high achieving family. And, I was just taught that, like, if you're not constantly, doing something, that it's not okay. You need to be like super productive and super amazing and, always just, doing amazing things. And I think, one of the biggest lessons I've learned more recently in life is like, is that slowing down, is that taking time for self and doing daily things that show self-love, like being able to look, have a practice of looking in the mirror every day and saying, I am so proud of you. Like, yay you. I think the biggest thing that developed self-love, and that what I did, and a lot of what I'm doing with people, even on in different courses that I'm doing with, Disruptive Academy and Disruptive Girl Talk and Ridiculous Confidence, all of which will be on, kind of the Disruptive website, is to do practices like that. Is to do, fun, creative things that build self-love and self-confidence, whether it's doing fun things that are going to take you out of your comfort zone, because I really believe confidence is just a muscle, just like anything else. If you want to get, if you want to have great biceps, like, you're going to do bicep curls. If you want to have awesome confidence, you're going to do something that takes you out of your comfort zone every day to build more confidence. Yeah. And if you want to have more self-love, you have to do things that create self-love, and all of that could be, and different things that I did was the mirror exercise. And I also did things that made me that were just for me, that were conscious awareness, decisions that were okay, I don't feel very good right now. So instead of pushing myself super hard and creating this anxiety, I'm literally going to go get a massage. I'm going to go do something just for me. And I think spacing out time at least once a week, and The Artist Way. I don't know if you guys have heard of that book, but that was a really influential book in my life. And she talks about taking yourself on an artist date, every week, so that you have an hour every week where you go do something just with you, for you, to celebrate. And yeah, it was, really amazing. And just having even that hour a week, and then you write about it, and it's amazing what comes up. And it's so cool. And it really is, I think the times that I've been the most happy and feel the most fulfilled is when I practice a lot of that kind of stuff, and I celebrate my wins and my victories, because I think so much of the time, why we don't have that kind of self-love is because we never reward ourselves. We never celebrate the little wins that we have along the way, especially for all the entrepreneurs and the people out there that are hustling and doing stuff. It's how many times do you actually celebrate the little wins that you had, that day? Because otherwise it's so easy to just miss everything, and it's crazy.
And you're spot on, and I think that sometimes we get so caught up in the big picture and where we think we should end up that we don't celebrate those little wins. So that's super key, and I'm glad that you shared that. I guess what I wanted to talk about right now is, you talked about being unsure of yourself and not being too sure of really your direction in life when everything kind of fell apart for you. What was your big shift? Did you get mentors? Did something happen? Did you start reading books? What was it for you?
The big shift for me was, can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, so you weren't overly confident, you weren't sure of your direction, and now you're obviously very motivated and driven.
Yes.
So what was your big thing? Did you get mentors, or did you start reading, or?
I think I had a lot of big shifts throughout my life. For sure, it was, a big shift was after I saw Center Stage. And I think, too, when I started dancing and acting rather than doing gymnastics all the time, I felt what it was like. I understood what it was like. It was the first time I was oh my gosh, I could actually be happy right now. This is, I don't have to feel stressed all the time, or I don't have to do, it was the first time where I was oh my gosh, I can actually really enjoy life. So I think that was a huge breakthrough for me. And right around the same time after I quit gymnastics, somebody gave me a book, and I think out of necessity, because I was in this space of just looking for things and ways to feel happier or better. It was called As a Man Thinketh. And that was the first book that I was what? Thoughts matter? They can make a difference in the way that you actually feel and live and create your life. And it was just the coolest thing for me. I was 16 when I read that book, and then ever since then I've just been on this constant quest for more learning and growth and understanding about, I think, positive psychology. I studied psychology in college, and I think, and that goes right into being an actress too. It's just all about why we do the things that we do, and why somebody's so different than you are, and this space of being so curious about life, rather than just kind of taking things as they are. And right after I asked him, I think one of the next things is my uncle was giving away Tony Robbins, the Tony Robbins audio tape set. Yeah. And I just started driving. And I was oh, I'll totally take those. What are those? I don't know. I had no idea. And then I started listening, and I was what? This is so cool. I don't know why. I just had this right away, even at such a young age. I was the youngest girl going to all these motivational seminars. And so, pretty much ever since I was 16, I've just been on this what next? I was Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Abraham Hicks, Brendon Burchard, Lewis Howes. It's just feeding my mind. And I think too, along with Disruptive, it was about not just disrupting your thoughts, but disrupting habits and patterns, because I just realized how many times I would go throughout my day and do things. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just I'd not be hungry, and I would go to the fridge. And I'm this is not what I want to be doing right now. I would find myself constantly distracting myself. And obviously in this world right now, distraction is everywhere. And I think, asking better questions. So when you find yourself in those moments of wait, I don't want to be doing this, is actually being able to, okay, like, what can I be doing? What should I be? I don't like the word should, but what can I be doing to take me to the next level instead of staying in this like repetitive, like doing the same stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, and definitely I think, especially, you know, like I said, I went through, I think after like a really hard breakup and a lot of compounded stress, ended up in a place where I was just like, never thought I'd ever be, because I was always lived at this pretty high place of optimism and curiosity and venture. I like wound up in a place that it was like, it didn't even feel like me anymore. I couldn't see the world the way that I used to see it. And this is only like a couple years ago, or a year or two ago. And I didn't have the energy that I always had. Like, I literally could not see the world the way that it was. I felt like it was like I wasn't me. And I share that with people because I want people to understand that, like, regardless of where you're at in life, like, realize that if you're not aware, if you're not conscious of like the choices that you're making on a daily basis and the patterns that you're creating, like, not making decisions to move forward or to change can be the things that slowly, you know, if you're not making any decision, like, you're not moving forward, like, you're moving backwards, you know? So, and I didn't make a decision that maybe I knew was probably the best for me. And I kept staying in this, like, what's going on? This is so hard. I don't know what to do. It was a confusion. And instead of confusion, it just is a compounded stress over and over again. And the power that stress and anxiety and fear has to take you from even a super great place to a very not great place. And also the power that you have to get yourself out of that. And it's not just like saying I'm happy, and you're happy, because it doesn't work that way. You know, it's I went through so many different things of this, just like I felt like I was like walking slowly back up a staircase, you know, but it took a lot of courage and open-mindedness and like being brave to say, hey, I need help. Like, where's a good life coach? Let me talk to her, you know, like, and like let's go to, like, what are different nutritionists? Because I think too, like, and that's why, like, our disruptive logo is like 3 interconnected triangles that represent mental strength, physical strength, and then like what I call it's more like just inner strength.
Nice.
And I have 3 different Greek words that represent those. It's cardia, soma, mielo. Cardia is everything like that. Is spirit, passion, fire, energy. It's like that deeper part of you. Soma is everything physical. It's like body, and mielo is mental. And there's Greek words that I found because I didn't want to use just mind, body, spirit, because I just felt like everybody has their own preconceived notions about those words, and so that people could make their own feelings to those. And so, you know, when you are in a state, if anybody out there listening right now is in a state where they don't feel like they have energy, they don't feel very good about themselves, you know, it might not be, like, you might be totally fine. You might just be, like, B vitamin deficient. You know, you might just need a different diet. You might be allergic to some food that you don't know about. Yeah. And as soon as you can figure that out, maybe it's getting your blood tested and seeing where your hormone levels are at. I mean, the chemical makeup and hormone levels in your body is huge. And my dad and my whole family is in medicine. So thank goodness I kind of get challenged and learn a lot about that as well. So, I mean, just as much as what you're taking in, what you're listening, and the people you're surrounding yourself with, and the environment you're putting in, like, what you're putting in your body is exactly the same, if not more. Because if, you know, as soon as I started taking B vitamins again, like really good ones, I could automatically started feeling better.
That's awesome.
And I'm not saying that it's a pill. I'm not saying it's an instant fix. Like, you're not just going to go out there and get like some diet pill and you're going to be like super skinny and awesome. But I am saying that it is also connected, and you know, just be so. I think open-mindedness and curiosity and like the power of wonderment is huge.
You talked about disrupting your habits to really kind of shift who you become. What are 3 things you do every day to ensure your success?
Oh, I love that question. Because it is, right? I'll ask another question too. You know, that I think the biggest thing is that we all have these rules for ourselves, right? Like, we create these rules, and I think a lot of people are very unaware of the fact that they have these rules that they live by. And I used to, like, every day, like, no matter what, I would, like, get up, rush out the door, and go to, like, one of my favorite workout classes. And for a while, that works for me. You know, I would listen to something that was inspiring. I mean, for a very long time, ever since I was probably, you know, 16, I started with, like, first thing I do is either, like, put on some sort of, like, high energy music that's going to help me, like, actually wake up and feel something because, I'm not the best. I don't just wake up and I'm like, yes! Sometimes I do now because I've gotten myself to that.
It just doesn't happen right away. Like the alarm goes off and you're ready to go.
Yes. Yeah, especially when you stay up way too late working on something, And it's like balance, right? Like I am not perfect at all. Like there's things that I still do, and that's why I constantly wear I constantly remind myself with different messaging, to disrupt those thoughts and stop and get myself to no, you have decided you're not doing this anymore, so don't do it. But I think for sure one of the things I've always done that makes the biggest difference is your morning routine and your night routine, and for sure. Every morning I listen to some sort of high energy inspirational music and I move around in some way, whether that's dancing in the bathroom or jumping around, or even now I started just literally screaming. After I went to the Tony Robbins event, a lot of the he talks about doing different things that what does he say, that link different movements or different physical things that will take you back to a place when you felt super high energy. That's awesome. And yeah, I'll just start clapping or screaming or jumping around. To help me change my state, and not just in the morning, but at any time, even the other day I had so much going on, and this audition that I was supposed to get to, and I was feeling super overwhelmed, and I started getting all these fears and insecurities and doubts, and I was no more, I will not live from that place, and I blasted music, I started jumping around, and just screaming, doing anything crazy to just create different energy. So that's something I definitely do on a regular basis, is like I said, trying to gamify how fast can I get myself from this negative state to a positive state. And I think anytime we can make personal growth or overcoming a challenge fun, it's just you come at it in a completely different mindset. So instead of feeling stuck or frustrated, it's all right, I did, it's a fun thing to do. At least for my brain. Everybody's a little bit differently, so things for different people. So something inspirational, some sort of music for sure. And it's just saying, expressing gratitude. I think that is something every single day. I do have a very recently I like I said, different forms of meditation. But whether it's in my physical workout, saying different things that I'm grateful for, even when I'm running or dancing or working out, I always working out for me or training is so much more of a emotional, spiritual thing rather than than just a physical thing. And I'm always saying, what I'm thinking about, what I'm grateful for, or saying some sort of and this is something that I feel has really impacted my life that I would love to share with anybody listening, is instead of saying just affirmations, if you're used to saying I am so awesome, or I'm so beautiful, whatever your affirmation might be, or whatever goal you might have, especially is instead of saying it just I'm good, I'm doing this, I am making this much money, or I'm getting this job, or whatever it is, it's saying thank you in advance for it. So there's a lot of things that and not just saying it, but feeling it and visualizing it as if it already happened. Yeah. And so a lot of the roles that I want or auditions that I go on, when I'm running, I'll be just saying, oh, thank you for this awesome role, and getting excited about getting that role, completely different energy that comes from that.
Absolutely.
Nice. I had one more question. I think the most frequent comment I heard you say so far today is the power of questions. So what are some questions you always ask yourself, or when is the right time to use that?
Yeah. I think any time that you feel frustrated or scared or insecure, I've gotten myself into this thing of just my mind goes, all right, disrupt. You know what I mean? I just say that one word, and then I know that it's I go from saying, anytime you're in a challenge, I would love to ask you guys, if something hard happens to you, or if you're frustrated, what is the first thought that usually goes through your mind?
Oh crap! I don't
yeah, immediately I can't do this.
Yeah, I don't want to do it. You think of excuses on maybe I'm going to do this first, or I'm going to procrastinate.
Yep, totally. And so I think it's in those times that you say, instead of that, you're oh, I can disrupt this, and say, okay, this sucks, so this is really hard, or I don't want to do this, but what could I do? What small thing could I do to make a change, or to make this a little bit better, or to just feel more love, or what different way could I look at this to make it fun? And just keep asking yourself those questions, and do something to start moving around. I mean, a lot of times, anytime we're in that something hard happens to us, automatically you just want to like go like sit in a corner or cry or sit, you know what I mean? Like be still. And I think it's like getting so like just instantly that like I move, like I do the exact opposite thing that my body initially wants to do. And it's weird. It's so weird to me that like all the physical things that we do to like try to protect ourselves or to feel better are really the things that make us feel even worse,
Yeah.
Things
So
are
true.
gonna make us feel better. When you're sad, you just want to like sit on the couch and like just like sit and eat bad food.
Listen to sad music, watch a sad movie.
Yeah, it's like, why do we do that to ourselves? And like, trust me, I'm not perfect, and I'm not saying like don't do that. Like take that time, like I've definitely like when I've been sad, like I just be like I just want to be sad right now, and that's fine, But like make the commitment to say like I'm giving myself this couple hours or this day or whatever it is, and then like start moving. I think that's the biggest thing is like, what can you do for me? As I was like, what can I do to feel a little bit better right now? And it is always some sort of like, turn on some awesome music, go to move around, like go on a run, go dance, go watch a movie that's going to inspire me, listen to a podcast that I love, all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. So obviously you're on this journey now, continuing to act and starting this BeDisruptive brand. So what's next for you?
Well, I am going to continue some really exciting things going on, with Disruptive Apparel and, launching, I think, when this comes out, a course called Ridiculous Confidence, and then also Disruptive Girl Talk, which is because I'm really passionate about helping women and girls feel confident and supported and inspired. And, I think there's a lot, especially in the entertainment industry and entrepreneur industry, a lot of, I think that for a long time, it's just been like that girls kind of tear each other down, and there's this like kind of cattiness or not so much love and support. And I'm just like, all right, guys, we are disrupting that right now. We are stopping that, because I can't tell you how many times I get, anytime I am around a girl, especially at an audition, I'm like, hey, like, I hope you did awesome. Or like, hey, like, just want to let you know, like, you look so beautiful right now. From a very authentic place. Like, I'm not just saying these things.
I wonder, just not to cut you off, but I wonder if they say to themselves, like, what does she mean by that? Like, and they think it's like immediately negative.
Like, why do we do that to ourselves? It's so crazy to me that, like, I don't know. I think it's like insane that why is it that it's like the exact opposite? We always like, even today, I had a guy come up to me and he was like, hey, I just wanted to like say hey and like hope you're having a great day. And even though I practice this stuff, right? Like, why is that weird? Why is that weird for us to have somebody just come and say hi? And why is our initial reaction? And I think it's just a true testament of like just like society and our fears and our own insecurities. Like if people are like, oh, what do you want from me? Like what are you trying to get? Like or like, and I really want to help disrupt that and really make that change in as much as possible, so that people, that you want to and feel comfortable and feel sad if it doesn't happen, but yeah, every time I've ever done that, and any with any person, especially women, they're like, oh, like I really needed that, and that was like the coolest thing that it just said that, and it totally changed my day, and we ended up having this amazing experience together that's like life changing, and so yeah, it's just something I'm really passionate about, and in the film and TV world, I was in The Nice Guys that recently came out with Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. That was super fun. Nice. And then I played the lead girl in Atomic Shark, which is her name was Gina Delamo, and I think a lot from my gymnastics dance background. Got really into martial arts, and so I love fighting, like love fighting. And I actually worked with one of my favorite directors on this really cool script. It's a true story about an MMA fighter, and that I would play the lead girl in that, and so that's
awesome.
Do you actually do like MMA fighting?
So I've done a lot of just straight boxing and kickboxing, like a ton. And I actually got, when I was talking about a role that I was like this close for, was this awesome HBO show where I was going to play an MMA fighter. But it was down to me and one other girl, and they wanted more an ethnic look, and she was ethnic. So, that's just a true story of like what happens, But I had gone in 3 times, and they were like, "We love her. She's awesome." Like some of the people were fighting for me, some of the people were fighting for her, and that's just part of what it is. And that was really freaking hard for me. But I just know it's like you're one step closer, and the thing that I think makes the biggest difference in anything is just persistence. Like if you don't keep going, like of course you're never going to get it. But if you keep going, it's just a matter of time. And for me, it's not about if, it's about when. And I'm in it for like the journey and the love and the growth along the way. But anytime I start coming from that place of like, not that, that's when it's not good. And so that, and then a movie that I have right now on Netflix called Chalk It Up. That's a gymnastics movie, which is super cool because, I got to work with some of my really good girlfriends from Bring It On, which is one of my earlier films that I did, and do gymnastics again. Like that was really cool for me to get back up on the, and I did a lot of my own stuff, and it was just cool. And then I have a film coming out early next year called Cold Moon, where I play a Southern character, and I got to do that with Christopher Lloyd and Josh Stewart and Robbie Kay and Candy Clark, who's like an Academy nominated actress, and just an amazing film. It was written by Michael McDowell. It's the same guy that wrote Beetlejuice, and
nice,
such a fun character. I love playing Southern characters. For some reason, that's like, like badass girls who like kick ass and fight, and Southern characters. So like, which do
So to all the directors and casting directors in the world, we got your girl.
That's funny.
So
that's a lot of kind of what's going on in that world. So yeah.
So obviously super busy, but so how do people get a hold of you? How do people become part of the BeDisruptive movement and just get involved?
The best place I think is my website is rachelebsmith.com, and that's Rachel with the ELE, bsmith.com, and disruptiveapparel.com. And that has all our social links on there. I'm super active on my Facebook, a ton of Facebook Live, which I love because I love connecting with people, and on Instagram, I'm at @rbrooksmith. And I'm super excited just to connect with you guys, and pretty soon, hopefully starting the own like BeDisruptive podcast for people to check out.
I'm honestly I'm so excited for you because you have such a great message, and you can really touch an audience that needs to hear it. And I think that you can be a great vessel, if I can use that word, a great vessel to be able to kind of spread that message for sure. So we'll link all that stuff up in the show notes so everybody can just go there, click it, and go right to everything. But with that being said, we wrap up all of our podcasts with two little things. So we do a word association game. So I'll give you a word. You give me the first word that comes to mind. There's 4 different words. And then we do 5 rapid-fire questions. Are you ready?
Love it. Okay, go.
All right, so the first word is dance.
So I'm just saying...
The first word that comes to mind.
Okay, so start again.
Dance.
Fun.
Disruptive.
Awesome.
Energy.
Yes, please.
And motivation.
Hell yeah. That's what
I love it.
If I'm just being completely honest, like that's what comes out.
I get it. We asked, I think it was Drew Lynch something, and like he literally just said somebody's name because that's what was in his head. So you did well.
I love it.
So now we're going to do 5 rapid-fire questions. Some are fun, some are serious, but we ask you this. Answer within 1 word or at the most 1 sentence. Okay, so the first one is, what's the best advice you've ever received?
How much time do I have on this one?
Up to a sentence.
Okay, actually 1 sentence.
Yep.
Flip the fear.
I like that one.
I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah,
that one,
that's cool.
Yeah, that caught me off guard. I like that. So I'm actually going to flip something on you and ask you, what's your disruptive thought?
To always, always, always come from a place of love and abundance rather than fear and scarcity.
Love it. What's the most embarrassing song you have downloaded on your phone?
Oh, well, very recently... It's not embarrassing, I guess, but Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I had to sing it for an audition.
Nice.
That's not a good one. Who has that?
It's probably Zach's favorite song, honestly. If you could be remembered for 1 sentence at the end of your life, what would that be?
Positive disruption.
And we wrap up every single episode with the same question. Since we're called the Growth Now Movement, we want to ask you this. In your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
would say committing to always coming from a place of growth rather than any sort of place of sorry, what I'm trying to say. I want to say this again. Always coming from a place of growth and love and adventure rather than a place of I just want to be seen.
Awesome. I love it so much. Rachel, thank you, first of all, for coming on the show and spending time with us. But also, thank you so much for what you're doing. And I think that the movement that you're creating for the world is truly going to change the world. And just thank you so much for doing that.
This was fun. Thank you.
So much fun, guys. Thank you so much.